In 1969, California authorities raided the Spahn Ranch. They arrested a bunch of people on grand theft auto charges. One of those people was Susan Atkins. Put her in jail. She eventually befriended a couple of older inmates that had been in prison for a while, and she opened up to them. And she eventually confessed her part in the Tate LaBianca murders. Her confession led to the arrest and prosecution of Charles Manson and his family. Now, I'm not saying that Chris and Essie Breach are or are not as evil or bad of people as Charles Manson. What I am saying is that law enforcement does have tools and tricks, perfectly legal, moral tricks, that it can use to get these people to confess. And I'm just wondering why the Scioto County Sheriff's Department has time and again refused to use any of these tricks. And I'm genuinely of the opinion that they do not want them to go to jail under any circumstances. This video is mostly for law enforcement, so if you are law enforcement and you have questions like I do, I would really appreciate you contacting the Scioto County Sheriff's Department and asking them to clarify really on anything, any questions that you may have. So, first, Nichole is last seen getting into a car at the Kroger store in Portsmouth. This car is similar to several cars that were out on the property. I'm just wondering if there was any follow-up, either after her disappearance or her murder. Essie Breach herself drove a similar car to the one seen in the video. Chris and Essie have been arrested numerous times. They're arrested on check fraud, assault, drug charges, and time and again, the cases are dismissed for lack of evidence. Time and again, the prosecutor on these cases is Mark Kuhn. He is also the prosecutor on the Nichole Alloway murder. In the fall of 2011, Essie made a trip to Florida to visit her daughter, Angela Jackson, in Tampa. She was at the time on parole. This would have been a parole violation, which would have put her back in jail. We brought this to the attention of the Scioto County Sheriff's Department. They did not act on this information. We're also wondering how Essie got off on the charge of the stolen ATV that was out at the property. I really, looking at these two scumbags getting out time and again, I'm wondering, do you just really not want them to go to jail? Thirdly, I want to know what Steve Timberlake's involvement is in this whole thing. He would have been with her. He arrested Jason Kraft and she was in the car with him. He detained her. He spoke with Diane Dill and promised that Nichole would get on that bus in the morning. We know he checked her out of, he took her to the homeless shelter, then he checked her out of the homeless shelter. Where did he take her? Why did he take her? Why did he not make sure that she got on the bus the next morning? These are important questions. What was his role in the investigation when she disappeared? What is his role in her murder investigation? Has he gone in and made a statement, made an official statement about seeing her? I would like to know. Additionally, Steve Timberlake's son was recently arrested on narcotics charges. Conveniently, the evidence was lost, so all of the charges had to be dismissed. 4, time and again, the Scioto County Sheriff's Department claims that they don't receive emails from the family. People have written to them saying they know what happened to Nichole, they witnessed something, they know something. I have received emails from the family with headers showing it was sent to the Scioto County Sheriff's Department. The Scioto County Sheriff's Department says they never got them. Specifically, on July 29th, 2010, the family received an email on MySpace with very specific details of the murder, details that we can corroborate, with later eyewitness testimony. They basically had the information in the summer of 2010, and the Scioto County Sheriff's Department did nothing. Where are the emails going? Because if I'm seeing them with the header, they're going somewhere. 5, Richard Howard. I still have no idea how you all linked Richard Howard to Nichole, unless Essie Breach called and turned him in. It's the only way, in my opinion, that you could have even have imagined that they would be together. Why don't you believe what he told you when you arrested him? You know, I understand he's a drug addict. He's not entirely intelligent, I know. But if you're hearing his story and specifically the email from July 29th of 2010, probably the same story, why wouldn't you believe him? Why wouldn't you take his story seriously? Why did you drop the charges against him in regard to her murder? And then, unbelievably, why did you drop the charges against him in regard to abusing her corpse? In August of 2011, you dismissed all the charges against him in regard to Nichole. You told the family that you couldn't charge him with abusing her corpse and her murder because that would be double jeopardy. I don't think you're understanding what double jeopardy is. Abusing her corpse and murdering her are not the same thing. I'm guessing you can do both of them. And I'm wondering why you would tell the family that you would dismiss those charges against him. The one person who has ever been charged with doing anything to that woman. Why would you say that you can't charge him with her murder if you're charging him with that other thing? I've spoken with lawyers and law enforcement, and they don't understand it either. 6, although Nichole's corpse was incomplete when they found it, and this mutilation most likely happened before she was dumped in the river, why didn't you go to Richard Howard's address to see if you could find the rest of her? Wouldn't you think you were looking at her, probably realizing that this was not done to her by things in nature at the river. It was most likely done by humans. Why wouldn't you go, if you're charging Richard Howard just with abusing her corpse, wouldn't you go out to the property, to his address, and see if you could find any evidence out there? Because you never did. 7, Essie bought a truck using my friend's identity. She did this almost immediately after my friend left in April of 2009. This was about 2 months before Nichole was murdered. And I'm wondering, because they found minimal blood evidence in Richard's car. They found minimal evidence that she could have been killed or mutilated in that truck. When we brought this truck to your attention, you told us it was no big deal. This is a truck that could have been involved in her murder. And not only that, it would put my friend on the line, because she did not buy that truck. We have handwriting evidence that shows that it's Essie's handwriting, 100%. I'm just wondering why you aren't following up on the truck. Because when we did bring it to your attention, the identity fraud and the forged car title, which I'm guessing is also very illegal, you told us there wasn't anything you could do because you didn't know where the truck was. There's no salvage title done on it. You didn't know where the truck was, and it's a civil matter anyway. No, Scioto County. Identity fraud in Ohio is a 5th-degree felony. And I'm guessing that forging a car title is also a felony, which would earn you some jail time. Scioto County Sheriff's Department drags their feet on everything. It took them 2 months to come out to the property after we contacted them in 2011. They did not rope off the area. They did not request that we stay away from the area, anything. It took them 2 months They did come out a couple times, but they didn't do any investigating. And the first time Matthew Spencer came out, Detective Matt Spencer was really concerned about what everyone was thinking about him and his reputation in the county. Specifically, in the summer of 2011, we received an email from Deputy Miller that said they would be coming out to the property, and because they said that we could tear it down, but they were going to come out and do a last cursory look of the property. They said they were coming out on a Thursday. They did not come out on Thursday. They did not come out on Friday. On Saturday, we went out to the store for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Strangely enough, they told us about 2 weeks later that, oh yeah, they had come out on that Saturday, and they just happened to come out in the hour and a half that we were gone. They didn't leave a note. They didn't leave any evidence that they were there. They didn't talk to us on the phone to say, hey, we were out there, everything's cool. Nothing. Why would you do that? Again, when Nichole was found, America's Most Wanted, at the request of the family, they thought it was a great case to get involved in. America's Most Wanted called the Scioto County Sheriff's Department, and they refused their help. First time in the history of the show. Also, on the property, down by the creek, back at the field, there are numerous glass jars filled with a milky white sludge. They are in the creek. When the creek bed floods in heavy rain, these jars are submerged. And there are a lot of them. And there's a lot of stuff knocked over down there. There were a lot of plastic bottles down there. A lot of rubber gloves. This creek empties into Little Brush Creek, which empties into the Scioto River. My friend contacted the EPA, and they were all over coming out to look at the property and to possibly do a cleanup until they talked to Detective Matt Spencer. We never heard from them again. Never returned email, nothing. And before that, lots of communication with the EPA. Every time for the year and a half before my friend and I got involved, the family was contacting the media, and the media would call the Scioto County Sheriff's Department to check their facts. Scioto County Sheriff's Department told them that she was not murdered. It was a simple overdose case. She had only overdosed, and all the information they had was wrong, and so the media outlets, our options with the media dried up really quickly. So I requested a copy of the death certificate, and on the death certificate, which is on my channel's homepage, it's the top banner, it does state undetermined homicidal violence. The Scioto County Sheriff's Department insists that even though my friend and I have found blood evidence, human bones, they try to convince us that the blood is not blood and that we don't know what a human bone looks like. I haven't ever actually seen human bones before. After they told us we could tear down the barn, we went into the barn. We tested the blood that we thought was blood with luminol, and it tested positive. We talked to pathologists. They confirmed that they are human bones. I am amazed that you have someone working your crime scene unit that is unable to identify human bones. I'm guessing that most police departments, if handed a box of bones and someone is saying, some of these bones look a little bit suspicious, we just want you to check them out, you just take the box of bones back to wherever it is that you're working and you look through the box, right? Scioto County Sheriff's Department refused 2 occasions to take the box of animal and human bones. Detective Spencer came out to the property right away. As I said, he was more concerned about his reputation than anything else. It took them forever to come out and collect evidence. 2 months. One thing of real note is my friend noted anomalies in the area where Nichole was killed. Things out of place. Things that should have been there that were completely missing. She told the Scioto County Sheriff's Department where she suspected they may be, and they completely ignored her. They completely ignored that large objects were moved, and they did not investigate any of these. After they told us we could tear down the barn, we looked through several of these areas and we found evidence. When Chris and Essie burned down their trailer because they were making meth, and the firemen came out and they found meth making materials, Scioto County Sheriff's Department, why didn't you arrest them? Because they wouldn't have had a little bit of meth out there. They would have had a lot. And I know the firemen would have reported this to you. And this is going to be my last point. Her family, Nichole Alloway's family, reported her missing in June. She was not found. Her body was not found until July. I'm wondering, she was living out at Chris and Essie's house. There are numerous witnesses that can prove that she was living out there. So if they didn't kill her, why didn't they report her missing? Even if she had just wandered off into the woods and got lost, even if someone had taken her, they knew her story. They knew that she had nobody. They knew basically they were the only people that she could rely on. So why wouldn't they report her missing if they didn't kill her? I just have these questions. Now, if you're law enforcement, I would really appreciate you checking into these things. There's a lot of stuff I don't know the answers to. And I would really love for someone to find these things out. I know a lot more than I'm saying here. I just really wish that someone would stand up and do something about it.